And I'll begin with Syria saying it's intercepted missiles fired by Israeli warplanes from above Lebanese territories. Syrian military confirmed 3 soldiers were injured in the attack. Israeli missiles targeted a countryside west of Damascus. Lebanon has confirmed that Israeli warplanes violated its airspace. U-K-based Syrian Observatory for Human Rights also verifies missiles have been fired from Israeli planes. The Israeli Ministry of Military Affairs has announced it's activated its missile system. Joining us now at Leicester for more on the story is Mr. Shabir Hassan Ali, activist and Islamic scholar. Hello, sir. It's a pleasure to have you back on the program, Mr. Hassan Ali. Hey, your thoughts on, you see the U.S. trying to finally dwindle down and get the heck out of Syria. We see the entire Syria war on Syria, the crisis in Syria, hopefully coming to an end. It seems it's going to be a lot less protracted in the near future. Hopefully we'll all see an end, before, in the next year or so. So why is Tel Aviv stepping up its incursions onto Syrian soil?
Yeah, I was saying that, we should take the whole withdrawal of America from Syria with a grain of salt at least. As for Israel making attacks on Syria via Lebanon, for many, many years, since I can remember, Israel has been overflying at supersonic speeds over Lebanon in a complete violation of any international law. And it's never been held accountable by America or by the international community at large. And when you do this to someone, when you don't hold a criminal accountable, they're going to carry on because they can act with impunity. They can act without any consequence. And so when, and also within Israel, you have to understand there is a degree of chaos with Netanyahu in trouble, with the government in all sorts of tatters. They need a distraction because otherwise they will have to deal with the actual issues within the Zionist entity, within this entity that is falling apart at the seams. So they need a distraction, and Trump provides the perfect distraction in saying that he's once again they've won the battle. America's won the battle against Daesh, which is laughable, seeing that this would involve America looking into a mirror and beating itself up. Since America, of course, is the manufacturer of Daesh directly and indirectly, and then America says that it's withdrawing, this creates a climate of sort of happiness within the people who support Syria and feel that Syria needs to govern itself, needs to be looked after by itself, and doesn't need American influence. But at the same time, I believe it's a lie, for want of a better word, because Trump doesn't control anything. Trump is the spokesman and the face of the U.S. administration, but the reality of the American administration is underneath, and this is controlled by Zionists. This is very, very well known. So it's not surprising the Zionists are doing this. They want to provoke a war. They need a war. They desperately need a war because they need to distract from all the other problems that they have. And they need to provide a cover for a distraction in the media for their Arab allies, such as the Arab Zionists occupying Arabia. So unfortunately, this is an ongoing problem. Having said that, I believe that the Syrian government and Syrian army and the resistance are capable, very capable, of repelling any of these attacks. And in fact, I believe the Israelis are aware, America, Britain, I'm sure, are also aware that any future adventure, be it in Lebanon or be it in Syria, for the Zionists or even for the Americans is going to be far from a picnic. And they will suffer a lot more than just a bloody nose like they did in 2006. This time, I'm pretty confident, and I say this with responsibility, if the Zionists are stupid enough to make an attack on Syria or Lebanon, an active war, then that will be the end of the Zionist entity. They will be signing their own death warrant. And this they need to remember and they need to understand.
And Mr. Hassan, before we let you go, I want to know on this end of the year evening where Tel Aviv has targeted targets around Damascus, going over obviously Lebanese territory without consent. I want to know what legal international pretext, under what legality it is carrying this out, and if there is such legality, why it doesn't take it to the UN Security Council? Why are we seeing, or under what pretext or what legality is Israel conducting, or did it conduct this strike tonight?
I think the only legality, if the word is valid in this context, would be the legality of the law of the jungle, which is what the Zionists and their allies operate by. And it's not an accident that this happens on Christmas Day. Essentially, of course, we know that many people across the world are celebrating Christmas, and this is supposed to be a time of goodwill and peace and harmony and whatnots. And the Zionists, they reveal their true colors by flying at supersonic speeds over Lebanon, disrupting people, breaking international law in flying over Lebanon without permission, and then attacking Syria. And this is the nature of the beast. And like I said, look, international law doesn't apply to Israel as far as it's aware. And unfortunately, because it's never been held to account, no one has ever turned around and not just told it off, but held it to account. I mean, if any other country, if we suggest that, for example, Syria decided to do the same thing to so-called Israel, then you would have every sanction available applied on Syria immediately. Yet when Israel does this, nothing. No one bats an eyelid except, the usual suspects. You've got Russia, you've got Iran, you've got Syria, you've got the resistance in Lebanon, and of course the Palestinians. We say that this is incorrect, this is wrong, this is a violation of international law. The problem is international law by itself at this time is a farce. America doesn't abide by it. Britain doesn't abide by it. Europe doesn't really abide by it, though it pays it a lot of lip service. And Israel doesn't even know that it exists. I mean, and let's not even go to the Arab Zionists of Bahrain or so-called Saudi Arabia or Kuwait or any of these other, Oman or these other sort of oil fields and shopping malls with flags. These people don't abide by international law because they are never held to account. And this is the underlying problem. As long as the United Nations remains this impotent entity that never holds actual criminals to account, then international law is, very nice and people can make a lot of money discussing it, I'm sure. But in reality, it means nothing. It's worth less than toilet paper. And this is the problem. The fact that international law has been destroyed by America's giving of immunity and impunity to the Zionists, this is the underlying problem. America is the underlying problem, which is why we call it the Great Satan, because that is what it is.
Thank you for joining us out of Leicester, Mr. Shabir Hassan Ali, activist and Islamic scholar.